Lead together, embrace change, enhance everyone's journey. The 3 core principles of SmartStop, a leader in self-storage real estate across North America, reinforce why we're proud to bring you SheEO Lead-In, the podcast featuring curated conversations with powerful women sharing their impactful wisdom. It's a self-knowledge, self-discovery, and self-preneurship audio storage vault created by and for women. SmartStop's presentation of SheEO Lead-In begins right now.
Have you ever felt that you as a woman may not appear to measure up when you see incredible women in strong roles? You may be surprised when hearing from women in these positions and how we all share many of the same challenges. Thank you for joining us for the SheEO Leading-In podcast with Rebecca Jones as we share the journeys of women.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Jones, your host of SheEO Lead-In. We are on an exploration together to discover more about the personal journeys of incredible women in both career and life. We all have paths to share that sometimes take incredible turns, deep resilience, and courage to navigate. My hopes are that the challenges shared here encourage women to take leaps of faith and growth when a journey feels too difficult or unachievable. There is great strength deep within each one of us. These stories are meant to share the ways strong women have taken their dreams to strive and thrive to new heights, despite their sometimes rocky paths, and found a way to lead in. Today we're here with Jordan Maharaj, and she is with the San Diego Rotary and the San Diego Rotary Foundation, and you're the executive director, correct?
Yes, I am.
Well, it's so great to have you here today. So let's just start out with a little icebreaker. Let's hear a short story from your childhood, if you don't mind sharing with us, that maybe people don't know about you.
Sure. Let's see. So I think the first one that comes to mind is that when I was 3 and my sister was 6, because she's 3 years older than me, we were moving from one childhood home to another. And I remember falling on my knees when I was helping my parents move, and we were wearing cute matching shirts. And I remember my sister picking me up. So my sister and I have always been close. So.
Aw, cute. So are she older or are you older?
She's 3 years older than me.
Okay, nice. So what about a word that describes you? Do you have one that you think, and sometimes it could be different than what other people think about you too?
I think the first one that comes to mind is empathetic. I always try to ground myself in understanding of myself and others as I approach any situation.
And that's a tough one, because when you're empathetic, it seems like you actually bring things into your life sometimes that aren't always comfortable and easy.
Yes, definitely carry all those feelings everywhere with me, for good or for bad.
I could definitely relate with that. So let's talk about your current career. How long have you been doing this, and what did you do before that?
So I've been at San Diego Rotary for just over 4 years now. And before I was here, I was at San Diego State University, working in fundraising and a few careers just around development and major gift fundraising before I came over to San Diego Rotary.
So how do you measure success? Is that membership, or is it how people are engaged? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, I think a long time was focused on number of members. Being one of the biggest Rotary clubs in the country and in the world, it was really focused on members. But I think as we get out of COVID and, the world is constantly changing and evolving around us, we really want to focus on quality members, engaged members that are committed to our service projects and are committed to, doing the good work of Rotary.
How did you do that during the pandemic? I feel like that would be such a tough thing to keep people engaged, because they were into their little worlds and, trying to just get through it all. What did you do?
Yeah, it was tough. So I came into this role during the pandemic. So I got hired in December of 2020 and came on January 2021. And it was still a really uncertain time, and we weren't meeting in person yet. And even before I was in my role, I was an active member of our club. So some of the things that we were doing is that we were calling every single member of our club just as a check-in, not in a way to make people feel bad or anything. We just wanted to say, hey, how's life? We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but what's going on today? So that was one of the ways that we tried to just check in on our members. And then when we returned back to in-person meetings in July of 2021, working with our members, such as the ones that were 24 years old and the ones that were 94 years old, because we have both and we have everything in between.
Yeah.
We wanted to make sure everyone felt comfortable and just coming back and returning to a sense of normalcy. So definitely really tough to navigate, but I think listening and learning through the feedback of our members was of the utmost importance.
And I think during the pandemic, everyone felt this way, that we're doing phone calling and that sort of thing, is you became not only an executive director, but you also became kind of a counselor, don't you think?
Definitely. I think it came with the job description almost unintentionally.
Yeah.
But I think with, 400, 500 members of any organization, you're really having to lean in through listening to make sure you're hearing your members and to make sure that they're happy with the organization, because you want to keep them and you want to be able to keep this good relationship too. Make sure they're happy.
So what do you focus on as far as, service projects and all of that? Are they specifically like, I think during the pandemic, it changed a little bit. So it was all about, food insecurity and making sure that people were just, checking with them for physical health and all of that, and mental health too, because I think that is a big part that the pandemic brought up. Was like, it was kind of bubbling under the surface, but during the pandemic was like, oh, whoa, we've got some serious problems here with mental health. What are your thoughts on all of that?
No, we have over 50 committees in our club that are very active, and it spans from youth service, community service, vocational service, and international service. So we want to be able to cover every single area that has need. Some notable ones is that during President Judy Thompson's year, right coming out of COVID, she handled adolescent behavioral mental health as her, firsthand initiative. Mm-hmm. And every president really has a theme that they kind of cover, but she recognized the importance of doing it at the time. And at a district level, my late mentor, Chuck Pretto, took that on as his theme too. So there was a lot of synergy between the club and the district to be able to tackle that. But I think we try to cover every single area of need and listening to our community to see what is most needed.
So let's talk a little bit about balance, if there is such a thing, with work and then your personal life too. What do you do? And I just to share with you, I a lot of times feel like, oh, I'm really killing it today. I'm doing really well. And then other days I'm like, I am such a failure. What's happening? So don't feel bad about it. But I'd like to hear what you, how you deal with all of that.
I think at the start, becoming executive director, I was 25 at the time. And it was the first time I was kind of stepping into that role, and it was very nerve-wracking. And I didn't learn at that time. I had to really understand and dive myself deep into this role. And at times I wasn't good at setting boundaries and doing all the things that promote that kind of balance. And I had to learn it over the last couple of years. And I honestly attribute it to my fiance, who's my partner in life. And he taught me, like on a plane, right? When they tell you have to put the mask on yourself before you're able to help others. And he's always really coached me in that, because so oftentimes I don't do that because I care too much. I want to be able to put myself in situations where I get to help people. And I honestly, I don't know if it's cheesy, but I really attribute a lot of that to my fiance trying to coach me. And just, you have to be able to be your best, truest self to be able to help others.
So Jordan, I'm glad you brought that up, because everybody needs a hype person.
Yeah.
Whether it's a hype girl, a hype boy, hype man, anybody in your life that's really going to help you go to that next level. And, just talking a little bit about relationships, friendships, and all of that. You've got to have a team. You've got to have a village. You have to have a tribe. You have to have people that are surrounding you. I tell people all the time, surround yourself with people that are going to challenge you. Mm-hmm. I talk to kids a lot in my job, and so I try to tell them that. Sometimes they look at me like, yeah, I get that. And then sometimes they look at me with this blank stare thinking, what are you talking about? But it's so important. It's so important. So let's talk a little bit about barriers, because as a female, we were talking a little bit earlier about all of the difficulties, which are different than difficulties that men deal with. But what have been your most significant barriers, you think, in your career?
I think coming into development at a very young age was tough. And I think I attribute a lot of my success in my life to mentors that helped me get through those barriers. And at the time when I was starting in development at San Diego State, you think about someone asking you for $50,000 to $100,000. It's a pretty serious ask. And if someone who's asking is 24 years old, maybe you're going to think a little bit more about making that decision. And I think just mentorship and coaching me and how to help better prepare me for an ask like that and working with different cross generations was really helpful. So I think when I think about all the barriers in my life, it was because I leaned on my mentors to be able to give me the sage counsel, give me the brutal honesty that I needed to kind of get through to the next step. And also honest conversations. I feel that the further that you root yourself in honest conversations with people, no matter what generation, what background they come from, storytelling is powerful. And I think that you're able to get through to some common ground.
So you don't really think it was a woman thing? You think that it was more your age?
When I think about it, it's probably a combination of both. But when I think about it now, I do think about my age.
Okay. Well, and that's, for all of our younger listeners. I'm not young. I'm not really young anymore, but I'm kind of young. I'm young
you
at
look
heart.
Great.
Thanks. I'm young at heart. But for all of our listeners, I think that is such an important thing to hit on, because it doesn't matter if kind of back to what you were saying. If you're able to ask because you have the ability to ask and you can humble yourself enough to actually know, I don't know everything, I can't do everything myself. It's good to get good advice, especially from people that are around you that you look to that seem successful, and, find out what they went through, right? Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about resistance now. Sometimes you've got situations that come up and, sometimes people are hard to deal with, right? How do you deal with all of that? If there's like someone in your organization that's resisting you for whatever reason, whether it's your age or your sex or whatever, it could be anything. It could be a different personality from you. How do you deal with that?
I think when I think about my role and I think about our membership base, and I talked about this earlier, we have 400 members and we have every single age span in there. I have to approach every single situation differently because everyone hears me differently too. Me, kind of just having a casual conversation with one of our young professionals versus, someone who only comes to one program a year, who's a little bit older. So I think I have to focus in those situations on what I can control and my tone and my language. And I want to be able to share a common space, ground ourselves in what we have in common, which is the good mission of what Rotary does.
Yeah.
And hope that is able to create a good space, a vulnerable space for a conversation. So I feel like I've had resistance within my role, but I think that for the most part, we're all able to get to a common ground.
Because you've got to get the connection.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get to that connection? And sometimes it's very easy. Sometimes it's more difficult. So you have to keep kind of pivoting. I try personally to find common ground with whoever I'm talking to, whether it be someone that's older or whatever. I just keep kind of popcorning to find something where we can find that common ground and that understanding and that, oh, that's important to you. It's important to me too, because then you're building that credibility. Mm-hmm. That's easier to work together, I think. Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about role models because you mentioned it. Do you have like a few that, sometimes people say, oh, my parents, or, you had mentioned a couple. So do you want to delve into that a little bit more?
Sure. I'm really lucky in the community base that I have that a lot of Rotarians have served as mentors to me. I went through the high school Interact program. I went through college Rotaract that exposed me to San Diego Rotary. And, the most notable one is the late Chuck Pretto. So I met him when I was 18 years old, when I was a freshman at San Diego State. And it's one of those things that you just connect with someone right off the bat, and there was no way to really explain our connection. And it started out as, mentor mentee, because he was the advisor to San Diego State Rotaract at the time. And it really developed into a friends and then a father-daughter relationship, where he shared everything with me, his family. I'm actually seeing his wife tonight, Kim, because the City Sites Rotaract Club is honoring Chuck for the annual Peace Award. They named it after him. And I think that he's just one of those larger than life humans that he taught me so much. And I think from when you're 18 to he passed just before I turned 29. So those years were so important to me. And I struggled getting through college. I worked 4 jobs. And he was always that kind of support for me to get through, and showed me how Rotary can really change your life, and how relationships and building trust with someone create that kind of friendship and bond. And if you cultivate that, like that can change your life.
You're a hype person. Exactly. So let's talk about young women out there, lessons that you've learned that they could apply to their lives. I'm sure you have something pinging around in there that you could share with us.
Yeah, I talked a little bit earlier about, and I learned this over a long amount of time, but setting boundaries. And, I wasn't good at that for a really long time. And, some days I still fail at that. And I think and that's okay, because I think that we have to continue learning. And, as you talked about earlier, it's like, you never stop learning.
Forever.
Forever.
Even I tell people, and my kids kind of laugh so my kids are 24 and 28. And I say things to them. I say, oh, I'm going to be learning until the day they die, or till the day I die. And I laugh about it. And they're like, oh, Mom, why do you say these things? When they were younger, they didn't understand. Now, as they've gotten older, they kind of get it more, because we can learn things from people that are younger and older. There's always someone that you can learn something from. Any other lessons that you think?
I think kind of tying in with setting boundaries is that, you can forgive yourself if you make that mistake, and you have to give yourself the same kindness that you give to others, because it's a little unfair if you treat everyone like that, but then you don't fill your own cup. So I'm still learning that every single day.
I think you're learning it. Some days you're going to do well at it. You mentioned that a little bit earlier. Sometimes you're going to do better, and then you're going to fail. And guess what? It's okay. So you got to give yourself that grace and kindness, because it's never the same. I don't know about you, but life is all about the challenges. You never know what's going to happen from one day to the next. I mean, you could have a coworker that has a disaster in their life, and you've got to deal with it. You can't just put it off. And so how do you deal with that? Well, you're going to have to figure it out. I mean, it's just life, right? So let's talk about you actually, deciding this is the life for me. I feel like you did it pretty early based on your path. When did you just say, you know what, this is for me, and this is what I want to do?
So when I was in high school, I was approached by someone on our club day, and they said, have you heard about Interact? And I was like, when you're 14 at the time, you're like, no, why would I have heard about that? But then he was like, let me take you to a meeting and see if you like it. And at that time, I was really searching for something to kind of fill my cup in a way to give back to my local community. And I learned that that's what Interact and Rotary is all about, because Interact is a youth program of Rotary. And I had a chance to attend RYLA, which stands for Rotary Youth Leadership Award. It was a 1-week camp in the Santa Cruz Mountains. First time I was away from home as a 16-year-old. And it's a camp all about finding about who you are, finding your voice, and learning your leadership style. And to get that kind of exposure at such an early age was really invaluable for me. And so much where I got a tattoo about it, with 7 of my other closest counselors. And I still go back. This is my 10th year of service, going back to RYLA, serving the same campers in the Santa Cruz Mountains that, I once was. So it's been all part of the journey.
So let's take a quick pause for a smart stop, and then we'll be back in just a moment.
SmartStop knows the winning connection is when we elevate success together. SmartStop Self Storage, a California company with nearly 200 properties and over 15 million square feet of rentable storage in the US and Canada, is committed to positively impacting the communities we serve on the national and local level. By aligning our core principles of leading together, embracing change, and enhancing everyone's journey with local initiatives focused on education, health, and social welfare, we all elevate together. Through financial and strategic partnerships with nonprofits and prestigious organizations such as Cloudcast Media, Arrow McLaren IndyCar, Breast Cancer Research Foundation, Wounded Warrior Project, USC Athletics, the Brampton Steelheads, MMA fighters and boxers, and other unique athletes, we aim to foster a sense of unity and pride within the communities we serve, creating a shared identity and generating a positive atmosphere. To learn more about our core values, our locations, and career opportunities, please visit us at smartstopselfstorage.com. SmartStop, elevating success together.
So let's talk about that service part of when you decided. Not everyone is going to have a life of service, but a lot do. And even if they don't do it right now, today in their lives, maybe they'll pick it up, when they retire, all of that. So were your family, did you talk about all of that? Or is it just something that you went, oh, something's clicking for me and I really have a passion for this?
I think it was definitely intrinsic, something I really wanted to do, and I wanted to be a part of the lifelong part of my journey here on earth. And I think that's what's really unique about Rotary is that there's Interact and there's RILA, but then when you go beyond that, there's Rotaract, which is community-based or based at a university. And beyond that, it's Rotary. So I feel that you kind of get a chance to go through every part of this wheel, if you say, because Rotary actually is a wheel. And you never get to stop being a part of the journey. So I think that's really special is that you can be a part of every part of it.
And not everyone learns early on their why, because I think your why is definitely to serve others. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about one of your favorite stories of your favorite project where you just go, oh my gosh, this was it for me so far. Could you share something with us?
Yeah. So I first think about, we did this thing at Interact in my high school level called the Wheelchair Marathon. And it was to raise money for wheelchairs for people that don't have access to it. And I was doing it with my best friend in high school, who's still one of my best friends today. And what you do is you stay overnight on the track of this high school, and it's a pledging thing, and you go around and you're always walking someone around with a wheelchair.
Like the Relay for Life. It's
yes.
Like that. Okay.
And it was a great way to raise money, but it was also a great way to bond with people that are like-minded in service. And I remember being so delirious, honestly, after staying up for 24 hours doing this. Yeah. But I don't even think that the feeling of tiredness, the feeling of gratitude definitely went over how tired I was.
And the stories you must have heard from the people you were pushing around.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredibly. Do you have a favorite one of them that you would like to share, just some things and feelings that they shared with you, that you were doing something for them very selflessly?
I just think for the most part, everyone had a feeling of gratitude, but it was mostly that they're like, I can't believe that you're just taking time out of your schedule to do this for someone that may be me or maybe someone that you may never meet. And I think that is what has really moved me, that you may touch lives and you're giving back to community that you may never meet. And I think that's really powerful.
It is. It is anonymous, but also just the whole act of giving and service is something that some people don't really understand because they're so motivated by something else that they are confused by it. I would say oftentimes they're very confused by that because they don't understand long term. Why would you do that? Because you have it inside of you. It's built inside of you. It's how you're built.
Yeah.
So
Thanks.
Jordan, just kind of thinking through advice. Okay, so we talked about lessons, but what would be some advice? You walk into a room of young women, and what would you say to them to really encourage them? And let's face it, every single young person, and I want our listeners to hear this, it's our job, no matter if you're young or you're older, everybody needs some encouragement. And if we're not doing that, we're kind of missing the mark on everything. So what would be some advice that you would give our next generation of young women?
So I am naturally an introvert, and it doesn't look like that.
Oh my gosh, I'm so shocked now.
But I am,
Okay.
and I have, in many situations, have had to push myself into very uncomfortable situations in my natural setting to just meet new people or to have different conversations. And it takes everything for me to go into a room of 30 people I don't know, but I know that I should do it, right? It's like, let me get into the space of like, let's do it. I know it's going to be uncomfortable for you, but just push yourself out of that comfort zone. And that decision, when I attended my first San Diego Rotary meeting in 2013, I remember I only attended with one other SDSU Rotaractor at the time, and they encouraged us to sit at different tables. And you can imagine when you're 18 and there's like 400 people in this room, like, oh my gosh, that's really overwhelming. But I sat next to this lady, and her name was Natasha Josefowitz, and she has since passed. But I remember she was telling me all about her younger life and how she got into Rotary. And I was so nervous sitting there, but she really helped me feel comfortable. And there was like a plate of desserts too. And she was like, oh, go ahead and just eat the dessert first. But
Wait, before dinner?
But no, before lunch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a plate of cookies there, and she's like, "Don't worry about it." And she was in the late 80s at the time, so she was like, "Do whatever you want."
Yeah.
But I think pushing myself in those situations to make me feel uncomfortable, but just knowing at the end of that situation, there's going to be some sort of reward for it, I think has really helped me out.
That's interesting because I actually tell young people all the time. I say, try things that push you that are kind of scary, but not dangerous, of course.
Yeah.
But feel dangerous. I mean, you must have felt, danger. You have to talk to someone that you've never met before and strike up this conversation, which can be very daunting.
Yes, definitely.
So, and then the other advice is eat the cookie before the lunch.
Eat the cookie before lunch. You'll never regret it.
You know, what's funny is I actually used to do that every now and again with my kids, and they're like, wait, what? Yeah, I'm throwing you off. I'm throwing you off because, sometimes you have to live like that. Mm-hmm. And it's not dangerous, of course. So what is next on your journey? Because I feel like you are just at the tip of who you're going to be long term. What is your dream?
Oh.
What do you have in there?
Thanks. That's so nice of you. I think I'm really enjoying where I'm at, for one. Being in this role for 4 years, I've gotten a chance to understand the role, understand its challenges, and now feel at a good position to put Rotary on the map on where it needs to be and making it a sustainable organization, working on member engagement and everything you need in a strong membership and fundraising organization. But I really love where I'm at. And it's because I love Rotary so much. And I think that it's been a huge part of my journey. I wouldn't be here today without my mentor, Chuck. And I want to be able to honor his legacy, whether it's here at Rotary or wherever I go to next. I want to be able to honor his legacy of promoting the mission of Rotary and giving back to younger generations.
It's interesting. A lot of people don't pay attention to who came before them. I love that you do that because that's so important. Because all of the things that, when I think about my leadership, I think about all the people that came before me and how can I bring, respect to them. Whether I agreed with them on everything or not, it really is irrelevant. But how can I continue the good work and their legacy through what we're doing, as a group, as a collective community? It's really important. And I honestly, I just want you to know, you're the first younger person that has ever brought that up, that I've had a conversation with. And I think it goes so unnoticed in life. And it's such a tribute to you wanting to respect who came before you, which is, really kind of unique, in my opinion. But just, are you working on anything cool right now that we should know about? Any new initiatives or anything that you can share? It's okay if you don't want to share, but
I think, really working on supporting the president of Rotary is in the main role of my job. And, we move from president to president at the start of every fiscal year. Yeah. Correct. Mm-hmm. So it's really being able to create synergy between my role and their role to be able to work together and promote Rotary at its highest level. So I think as we are, wrapping up Mia's year, we're thinking about our next president, Wendy Hiroshima-Khan, who is a force of nature out in the community as well. So we're really excited for that and what she has to bring to Rotary.
Jordan, thank you so much for joining us today. Really excited about and I really am. I'm shocked that you are an introvert, not an extrovert.
Yeah.
So there is hope for everyone out there that feels a little bit scared about getting out there if it's not comfortable to you, because you seem extremely comfortable in that way.
Oh, thank you. It's taken a long time to get here, but I appreciate that.
Well, thank you for sharing with us. Really appreciate you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thanks for having me.
Now that was powerful. We hope you've been lifted and encouraged by today's inspiring voice. Always remember that life doesn't look exactly the same for each one of us. Never stop dreaming, striving, and thriving. In future episodes, we look forward to bringing you powerful stories from amazing women who learned how to lead in to challenges. Thank you for listening and being part of our community with SheEO host, Rebecca Jones.
The incredible curated SheEO conversation you just enjoyed was brought to you by SmartStop, a leader in self-storage real estate and a company that upholds its core principles of leading together, embracing change, and enhancing everyone's journey. To learn more about SmartStop, please visit smartstopselfstorage.com.
Cloudcast Media.